Okay, Chapter 11, Part 2, Slide 29. Estimated liabilities. Not all liabilities are known exactly what the amount is. And so, but if you know you have a liability, like an insurance claim or something of that nature, you have to reasonably estimate what it is and then report that. Health and pension benefits. This is an area that's creating quite a bit of anguish for companies. Healthcare costs keep going up. And a lot of the old pension, 401k is known as a defined contribution. There are a lot of pensions that are known as defined benefit, where the benefit's promised, but you don't know how much that benefit is going to cost. And it's a major problem. And to give you an example, they estimate in the United States that the pension system is underfunded by over $3 trillion. There's a lot of promises that are not going to get met. Case in point, Stockton just negotiated in their bankruptcy proceedings to be able to break those obligations. Detroit bankruptcy, so there's some huge issues in the nation regarding this. But nevertheless, you have some expense and you need to break it out, whether there be insurance or retirement programs and so forth. Vacation benefits. If an employee is accruing vacation benefits every month, you need to recognize that liability and calculate it for everyone. So it could vary depending on the employee, length of time, and so forth. But yes, you do have to track that for virtually every employee, and it can become quite a hassle. Bonus plans. Some people are paid commissions, some are in bonuses for different kind of employees. So those are other estimated liabilities that you might have, or known liabilities. And then the current maturities of long-term debt. So again, you have long-term debt. Typical would be equipment like cars or so forth, or your mortgages on real estate. Well, those can go for up to 30 years. Well, you do have any of that that's due within 1 year, i.e. maybe 12 payments if you're paying monthly, has to be classified as a current liability, and the remaining balance is long-term debt. Usually there's no adjusting entry because that's already built into the loan agreement to your monthly payment cycle, so there's no adjustments on those, which makes it a little bit easier there. And so here we have a listing of a classified balance sheet. And you notice it's structured in order of liquidity, and your assets are listed in liquidity, and so is your liability, starting with accounts payable. This is typically due in 30 or 60 days. And then maybe note payables, the current portion. And so you might have a variety of these listed. And then they'll typically total up current liabilities and then list their long-term and then total liabilities. So you do split out on the balance sheet current versus long-term liabilities. There could be liabilities based on warranties. Many people have products or service that they give a warranty on. Well, you have to estimate what you think that expense is going to be, depending on your sales volume and so forth. It can be quite tricky and convoluted here. And then you'll have maybe some actual expenses that will go into it. And so you're going to record it as, well, we expect $640 of expenses, but we don't really know who yet. So it is recorded as a liability. You get to deduct it as an operating expense for that period, but at some later date, someone's going to turn it in. You're going to have to take it off. And here they're honoring that liability by giving some parts to a customer. So accounting for contingent liabilities is a future event probable, possible, or remote. If it's remote, there's no disclosure. If it's possible, you disclose it in the notes. If it's probable, then you have to either estimate, or if it's non-estimable. If it's non-estimable, so there's a lot of what-ifs in this area. But a contingent liability could be potential environmental lawsuits, sexual harassment lawsuits. It's one thing if it's remote, but if someone's already filed a lawsuit and so forth, and they're trying to sue you for a certain amount, it becomes more probable.
the more probable this liability becomes, the more you have to record it and disclose that on your financials. Again, some possible contingent liabilities, definitely the potential legal claims. Could be a debt guarantee. A guarantee maybe would be like, maybe your parent is helping you buy your car, and they guaranteed that loan. They would need to record that as a liability possibly on their financials. Because if you default, the bank's going to go after them. A lot of times this is a component of student loans, and it's a problem for a lot of people. I'm not going to go into the global view. Let's get into a couple ratios here. Times interest earned. They want to know your income before interest and income taxes, and then your interest expense. And this can vary, but they want to know that you're able to pay your interest, and how well are you able to pay that interest on the loans. That's the major ratio on this one. I think that's it for this chapter. That is it, and we'll start with chapter 12 in the second video. Thank you.